Well, hello and welcome everyone to St Paul's Maidstone Scout Headquarters. It's the 8th of November 2021 and for the purposes of today this is now going to be called St Paul's Rock. The reason we're taking part at St Paul's in Maidstone Scout Headquarters is that St Paul's Rock, as you can see in the picture, actually has an inhabitant of 4 people and they're all scientists. There are no scouts there, so we're having to undertake the Scouts home here today. So you're all very welcome. I just wanted to welcome in particular the following people who will be reading for us today. So my name's Ian Soames. I'm a leader here at St Paul's in Maidstone. We have with us Alan and Matt, both of whom are from the REQUEST leadership team and will be taking part in the Antarctic expedition. We've got Vicky from the Kent Scouts County team. Mark and Joe also leads here with me at St Paul's Maidstone Scout Group, and Jemima is a Cub Scout here who will be reading for us a little later as well. This Scouts Home was first held at Gilwell Park, which is the UK Scouting headquarters, at 11 o'clock in the morning on Sunday the 5th of September 2021. At this point, a commemorative plaque to Scouts Marr and Mooney was officially unveiled. The intention is to then pass on, share and hold the Scouts Home with fellow Scouts around the world all along the original route of Quest 1921 to 1922 voyage, exactly 100 years after Quest arrived at each location. This will include the Antarctic Peninsula using a facsimile of the commemorative plaque. After returning from Antarctica, the REQUEST 2021 team plan to hold a final reunion Scouts Home ceremony at Fordell Firs, which is the Scottish Scouting headquarters, where a replica commemorative plaque will also be installed. Commemorative plaques. The inscription on the plaques reads as follows: Remember James William Slessor Marr, 1902 to 1965, and Norman Erlen Mooney, 1905 to 1945, who took part in the 1921 Shackleton's Quest expedition. Note that the official expedition name was the Shackleton Rowett expedition. However, like many of the expeditions of the heroic age, it was also often referred to by the expedition ship, in this case, Quest. The larger commemorative plaque was unveiled on the 5th of September 2021, marking the REQUEST 2021 expedition to Antarctica, 100 years after 2 scouts sailed on Sir Ernest Shackleton's final voyage of exploration. The plaque was designed by stonemason Mark Brooks from Canterbury in Kent. The smaller replica plaque will be installed at Fordell Firs Scout headquarters in Scotland by the REQUEST 2021 team in 2022.
The Shackleton Rowett expedition of 1921-1922 was financed by Shackleton's friend, the businessman and therapist John Quilter Rowett. They had met during their school days at Dulwich College, London. In September 1921, the expedition sailed on the ship Quest with plans to survey the islands and navigation routes of the southern oceans. On the 5th of January 1922, upon arrival at the island of South Georgia, Sir Ernest Shackleton, who was in ill health, died on board Quest.
An extract from the Book of the Quest 1929, The Boss as I Knew Him, by Dr. Leonard Hussey, a member of Sir Ernest Shackleton's last 2 expeditions. To have known Sir Ernest Shackleton was a privilege, but to have worked with him, shared his hardships and his adventures, and to have secured his friendship was a privilege accorded to few. I count myself very fortunate that I was one of those few. He had a great admiration for the Boy Scout movement, so much so that he took 2 scouts, Marr and Mooney, with us on the last expedition on the Quest. Sir Ernest was one of the greatest Englishmen that the world has ever seen, and we lost our best friend when he went. Still, we try to carry on as he would like us to have done, and we are never tired of talking about him and hearing of him. He is still very near to us, and in carrying on his ideals and his traditions, we feel that he is attaining true immortality, and that as long as an Englishman and English boys can appreciate a true man, Shackleton's name will be held up as an example and as an ideal. He would desire no fitter epitaph than he played the game. Scouts Marr and Mooney. The Shackleton Rowett expedition was the first polar expedition to involve scouts. Following nationwide recruitment, Scouts Norman Mooney and James Marr were selected to join the crew of the Quest. Mooney from Orkney was badly affected by seasickness and returned home from Madeira a few weeks into the voyage. Upon his return to Orkney in 1921, Mooney registered as a student engineer at the Royal College of Science and Technology in Glasgow. After graduation, he took on a role as a land surveyor with the Ordnance Survey based in Southampton. In 1929, Mooney passed the Colonial Survey examination and he was employed by the Colonial Office as a land surveyor in Nigeria, mapping previously uncharted areas. On the 20th of November 1945, at the age of 40, he was tragically killed when an accident occurred whilst he was out surveying. James Marr, from Aberdeen, went on to become a marine biologist and polar explorer in his own right, publishing seminal work on the natural history of Antarctic krill. In 1943, Marr was selected to lead a covert mission called Operation Tabarin. Tabarin was a predecessor of the Falkland Islands Dependency Survey, which later became the British Antarctic Survey. In 1954, Marr became one of only 18 men to have received both bronze and silver polar medals. In 1961, he was appointed president of the Antarctic Club. Marr died at the age of 62 from emphysema and bronchopneumonia on the 29th of April 1965 at Milford Chest Hospital, Busbridge, Surrey, after a prolonged period of illness.
The Kent Scouts REQUEST2021 Antarctic Research Project marks the centenary of the Shackleton Rowett expedition. A team of 10 scouts from Kent and Scotland explore the waters and islands of the Antarctic during January 2022. In keeping with the spirit of the original expedition, REQUEST2021 is carrying out research projects with the themes of peace, heritage and environment, and aims to leave a lasting legacy to inspire young people to explore the world around them. The project itself has 10 objectives shown on the back of these cards. Voyage. Participate as members of the crew on the Bark Europa on a voyage to Antarctica. Projects. Undertake personal projects with each team member presenting their results. Centenary. Hold centenary flag ceremonies in both the UK and Antarctica. Plaques. Unveil commemorative plaques to Scouts Marr and Mooney in England and Scotland. Outreach. Involve young people in a series of fun and educational outreach activities. Thames. Host a pre-expedition PR event at Tower Bridge on Friday the 17th of September 2021. Plymouth. Participate in the Devon and Cornwall Polar Society Centenary event in Plymouth. Shackleton. Celebrate and pay respect to the achievements of Sir Ernest Shackleton. Links. Build strong links with Scouts in other countries on the original expedition route. And legacy. Leave a lasting Scouting polar research legacy inspired by Scout Marr's work on krill. The project can be summed up as 10 to the power of 3. 10 Scouting ambassadors, 8 from Kent and 2 from Scotland, sailing on a tall ship to Antarctica. 100 years after the original Shackleton Rowett Quest expedition back in 1921. Thousands of young people engaged and educated about the 3 key lessons of peace, environment and heritage to be learned from this amazing, fragile, frozen southern continent.
Ernest Shackleton died of heart failure in the early hours of the morning of 5th of January 1922. These last diary entries recall his thoughts as the ship approached South Georgia. 1st of January 1922. Rest and calm after the storm. The year has begun kindly for us. It is curious how a certain day becomes a milestone in one's life. Christmas Day in the raging gale seemed out of place. I dare not venture to hope that today would be as it was. Anxiety and has been probing deeply into me for the end of the year. Things have gone alright. Engines are liable, furnace cracked, water shorts, heavy gales, all that physically can go wrong, but the spirit of all on board is sounding good. There are 2 points in the facet of the adventure of the diver. One, when the beggar he prepares to plunge. One, when a prince he rises with his pearl. 2nd January 1922. Another wonderful day. Fine clear sight, headwind, and the cheerful for us after these last days of stress and strain. At 1 p.m. we passed our first berg. The old familiar sight arouses in me memories of that strange years that have deadened. Blue caverns shone with the sky glow, snatched from heaven itself. Green spurts below showed beneath the water, and birds mast high came sailing by, as green as emeralds. Ah me, the years that have gone since, in the pride of young manhood, I first went forth to the fight. I grow old and tired and must always lead on. 3rd January 1922. Another beautiful day. Fortune seems to attend us this new year, but so anxious have I been that things are going well. I wonder what in time difficulty will be sprung on me. All day long, a light wind and clear sky was our happy position. I find it a difficulty in settling down to write. I am so much on the qui-vive. I pray the fans will hold out. Thankful that I can, because I'm thwarted as a man. 4th January 1922. At last, after 16 days of turmoil and anxiety, on a peaceful, sun-shining day, we came down to REQUEST2021. How familiar the coast seemed as we passed down. We saw with full interest the places we struggled over after the boat journey. Now we must speed all we can, but the prospect is not too bright, for labour is scarce. The old smell of dead whale permeates everything. It is a strange and curious place. A wonderful evening. In the darkening twilight I saw a lone star hover, gem over the bay. Following on, a poem by Rowett from the book of REQUEST 1929. Why am I here? A young lad little known to fame, refilled his pipe and poked the log fire down into flame. Away on the skyline frowned a snow-capped peak. Around him lay desert, white and bleak. The gulls screamed were ominous to hear. Why are I here? No answer came, the cold wind moaned. The boom of crackling ice, the sound of dreads. In the fire, red glow his nimble fancy roams, and winged hero's motto through his head. Never, never the lost endeavour, never to lower the flag. And emerged with the roar of the waters and the blast from the icy crag. Why am I here? To do such work he may be left behind. To tread his trail in storm and freezing winds. His ache to feel and also the strength of hearts. To be like him and hear the harder path. To fight the polar mountain, stark and drear. That's why I'm here.
Baden-Powell's introduction in the Book of the Quest, 1929. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible if we set our minds to it. 21 years ago, there were 25 scouts in the world. If anyone had said, we'll go on and raise 2 million of them distributed in every country over the globe, one would have said, no thank you, impossible. But the Jamboree this year will show that impossible has been attained. In a short space of 21 years, in our work with boys, we can do a lot to lift the poorest and most hopeless out of their slough and give them hope and aspiration. We can hold up to them in innumerable history of self-made successful men who, in their early days, such a future would have seemed impossible. A scout should be taught to kick the "im" from the word impossible.
Another extract from Into the Frozen South. Let's finish with the final words from Marr's 1923 book. And now I can hardly believe that it was all true. Yes, yet it was true, gloriously so. I too have seen and known and learnt. I too have companioned with the great souls who helped make our island history. Sir Ernest Shackleton, Commander Frank Wild, and the others. All great of heart and fearless of soul, had been my shipmates and my friends. It was a memorable year indeed, and for all time I know I must carry with me a vision of tumbling waves by day and phosphorescent breakers in the night. The grind and bellow of the closing pack, the rush and roar of the broken waters at the growler's feet, the hushed noises of the seals as they come to the surface in the still water of the pack, and always shall I see in my mind's eye the glory of the Antarctic night. And most poignant yet of all my inspiring memories, there is the lonely cross outlined against the whirling drive of the South Georgian sleet, the sign which remains to tell of the great spirit that led us forth and died and lives again, as a magnet to draw the brave away from the sleek comforts of life into that outer world of daring where men may gaze in awe upon the wonders of the Lord.